Do you know I've actually been putting this video off for a little while? I don't really know why. Why have I been putting this off? I don't know. There's no one there, by the way. I'm just talking to myself. It's purely for effect. Let's talk about the rule of thirds. Do you know what? I know exactly why I haven't done a video about the rule of thirds before. It's because there's loads of them out there already. But the problem with most of them is they're quite high in production value, quite complicated, lots of different locations, special effects and stuff, and that's great. But the rule of thirds is actually quite a simple concept, so it just needs explaining simply, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, if you've never heard of the rule of thirds before, I guarantee you will already know what it is because it's been in our social conscience for years, hundreds of years. Artists use it, photographers use it, TV producers, film producers, videographers, we all use the rule of thirds to the point where if an image doesn't follow the rule of thirds, to you, if you don't know what it is already, it just looks weird and you're not really sure why because we're so conditioned to seeing things according to the rule of thirds. Okay, let me explain what the rule of thirds is. Right now, you're looking at me in landscape view, long across the top, short down the side. Now if I put the rule of thirds grid up on screen, you'll see that it splits the image up into 9 boxes with 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical ones. Now the artist or the filmmaker will put the things that it wants the viewer to focus on across the top line or in the crosshairs along the top every single time, unless there's a very specific reason why they're not doing that. So at the moment, in my image, you're looking at me right now, you're focused on me, so therefore I'm in the crosshairs on one side. And the other thing that you might want to notice perhaps is my microphone, which is why that's in the crosshairs to my left or to your right. Now take a look at this painting. Uses the rule of thirds. The focus is on the aeroplane in the background and the guy in the foreground. This still from Back to the Future. This is really clever because your focus is immediately on Marty McFly, even though he's in the background and Doc is in the foreground. But because he's in soft focus, it draws your eye towards Marty in the background, and you can see both the Doc and Marty are along that top line in the rule of thirds. So you can see it's everywhere, the rule of thirds, to the point where if it's different and someone doesn't follow that system, then it's going to look weird. As a video maker, you need to follow the rule of thirds too, so people are seeing an image that they're familiar with. So always have the point of focus across that top line, ideally in the crosshairs, although perhaps if you're the only thing that you want people to focus on, then you want to be sort of somewhere in the middle, like that perhaps. And if we flip the image over, here we are in portrait, so short across the top, long down the side. The grid system still works too, so you want to be in the top line. Can't really be in the crosshairs, that's a little bit tricky, but certainly along the top line. And again, it just frames the image in a way that people are more familiar with. Now let's go back to landscape, and maybe I'll put myself in a different position in the frame, and you can see how weird it looks. Let me just try that. Now that's weird, isn't it? Well, actually, it's not weird, because I'm still following the rule of thirds. I'm down here at the bottom in the crosshairs, so your attention is focused on me, but there's also some attention on that door behind me, isn't there? Now you might be expecting something to happen in that doorway, like someone to walk through at any point and give you a little bit of a scare. Now this is where the rule of thirds really works, because what's behind me, is called negative space. So the negative space draws your attention towards it, expecting something to happen. Clever, right? So there we are, that's how the rule of thirds works. Explained really simply, no special effects, well, or maybe one, couldn't help myself. Not really many special effects then, and I hope you understand how important it is and how every single image you take, every video you take needs to follow that little rule. You can find out more about the rule of thirds by going to our website, links coming up in a second. Have a great day.